Hello, everybody. I'm Mike.
And I'm Maria,
And this is Talk Alley.
Mike, have you ever been asked which generation you belong?
Yeah, I belong to I'm a 80s nor 90s kids. Yes, if you are born 88, you're a 90s kid, right? I belong to the generation with folding phones and staying out, not being on the couch. So
And they like make a mistake all the time, right? Because you look young for your age.
yes, I look young for my age.
Yes, you really look young for your age. I'm not going to object to that. Just for clarifications, Mike, generations are identified as first the baby boomers.
Mhm.
Baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. They are currently between 57 to 75 years old. Papa's age. Mama's and Papa's age. Yeah.
Okay,
Gen X was born between 1965 and 79 and is currently between 41 to 56. That's mine. I'm Gen X, yeah.
okay.
Gen Y or millennials. You're actually a millennial.
Millennials, okay.
Yeah, we're born between 1981, 94, and they're currently between 25 and 40 years old.
Okay.
Gen Z is a newest generation born between 1997 and 2012. They are currently between 6 and 24. And finally, it's a Generation Alpha. So they're gonna, until 2025, that's Generation Alpha.
Yes.
So you're a millennial.
Yes, I'm a millennial, so we are also called the Generation Y or
Yeah.
Gen Y.
Okay, I'm Gen X. Did you, anyway, yeah. So our generation witnessed some of the world's greatest advancements, including space exploration and the development of the computer.
Yes.
Larry Page and Sergey Brin of Google are Generation X. Zuckerberg is millennial.
Hmm. Yeah, he's very young
And
for his age.
yeah, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Bezos are boomers.
Okay, yeah, and they all want to reach into space.
And today, Mike, we will be joined by a generation of Filipinos who are living, creating, and surviving their young lives in a pandemic.
Yes.
Very interesting generation, yeah? Okay.
Okay, but before we go into this, Maria, the episode is supported by amazing pure organic barley, which provides you with stamina and vigor to survive long hours of works and play. For inquiries, please contact Miss Jess Esquilio. You may also email her to jess@esquilio.de for more information.
I am Maritoni Fernandez, and we are in the middle of a barley field here in Swan Hill, Australia.
Well, we think we have the best barley in the world because of our clean irrigation water. Water comes from the Murray River, which is a freshwater river. All our drinking water comes from the Murray River too. So it's full of nutrients, and also the climate is perfect for growing winter cereals. Clean, green, certified organic.
Yeah, we're certified with NASA, which is one of the Australian certifications for organic. IAM Worldwide gets its barley grass powders from Herbal, which sources them from us at Nutrigreen, so you're guaranteed the best barley grass powders in the world.
I am truly proud to say that we are now the sole distributor in the Philippines for Nutrigreen barley.
Amazing pure organic barley. Contact jess@esquilio.de.
Okay, Mike, here in Germany during the May 26 election, that was like 2 years ago? Or pre-pandemic, no?
Yes, pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Almost 20 million young Germans turned out to cast their ballot. That's a lot.
Yes, Maria, it is a clear message from Germany's young generation that they are interested in politics, yeah, which everyone should be, because politics, is governing the country. A lot of critics believe that this high voters turnout could also be the rise of a new political generation. And speaking of young generations, you know that the Fridays for Future climate movement was founded by 16-year-old Greta Thunberg from Sweden. Yesterday we saw in the news, in the Tagesschau, the local news broadcast, that Fridays for Future went for demonstrations again in Berlin to speak out their voices, but not only for Fridays for Futures, also people who protest against minimum wages, a better work environment for them. Yes.
Yes, I remember that. That was pre-pandemic, and their first protest, more than 300,000 Germans took to the streets for their first political protest, especially students.
Yes.
There were a lot of students, and every Friday they have a demonstration.
Yes, that's right.
Calling out for the government to help the environment.
Yes.
For climate change.
For climate change.
So today, Mike, we have with us 5 Filipino young leaders from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. For those who doesn't know, the Philippines is divided into 3 island groups of Luzon, the Visayas, and Mindanao.
Yes. Luzon is the major island to the north where the country's capital, Manila, is located. The Visayas is a cluster of islands in the middle of the archipelago. Mindanao is the southernmost island group, and I lived in the Visayas when I was in the Philippines studying at the Central Philippine University.
Hello, those who are living in Iloilo City.
Shout out to Iloilo City, the city of love.
And Roy City copies. Yes.
So we are excited to meet our guests today.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Okay. Now it's time to welcome our guests from Luzon. Yes, from Luzon we have here the.
But before you introduce, let them watch this video.
Yes, the first video that we are going to see
before we introduce our guests.
Ang pagiging matulungin sa kapwa, masipag sa komunidad, mapangalaga sa kalikasan, matapat sa tungkulin, mapagmahal sa pamilya, bayan at Diyos ay mga katangian ng isang responsableng mamamayan, ng isang Pilipinong magdalo.
Ang pagbabago'y nagsisimula sa isang boses na matapang magsalita.
Bukod tangi ang Pilipinong may personal na integridad, may kusang magsumikap para sa kapakanan ng kapwa Pilipino, at may tapang tumayo para sa tama. Hinihikayat ang lahat yumakap sa mga katangiang ito at makiisa sa samahang magdalo. Itinatag ang samahang magdalo ng isang grupo ng mga Pilipinong sundalo na naghayag ng pagkadismaya sa mapang-abusong gobyerno noong 2003, nagtaya ng buhay at nakulong ang mga sundalong magdalo. Ngunit namulat ang taong bayan sa mga katiwaliang kanilang ibinunyag. Taong 2008, sa paniwala na ang pagbabago sa ating bayan ay nasa kamay ng bawat Pilipino, binuksan ng grupong magdalo ang kanilang hanay sa lahat ng may paniwala sa kanilang mga adhikain at layunin. Ngayon, ang samahang magdalo na binubuo ng mga voluntaryo mula sa iba't ibang sektor ng ating lipunan ay rehistrado sa Securities and Exchange Commission o SEC. Patuloy ang paglaganap ng mga adhikain at pagtaguyod ng mga magdalo chapters upang tunay na mapagbago ang lipunan tungo sa matatag na demokrasya. Makiisa,
magmalasakit, maging bahagi ng solusyon,
maging produktibong mamamayan,
maging mabuting ehemplo sa sambayanan,
maging responsableng Pilipino,
maging miyembro ng samahang magdalo,
may tapang tumayo sa tama,
may personal na integridad,
may paniwala sa sariling sikap,
may katapatan sa Diyos at bayan,
may disiplina sa pagsunod sa samahang magdalo Code of Conduct.
Mamahalin ko ang Diyos, bayan at kapwa-tao. Mamahalin ko ang aking pamilya. Mamahalin ko at pangangalagaan ang ating kalikasan. Tutulungan ko ang mga nangangailangan, lalo na ang kapwa magdalo. Makikilaw ako sa eleksyon at hindi ko ibebenta ang aking boto. Magbabayad ako ng tamang buwis. Hindi ako manunuhol at magpapasuhol. Ako ay magiging mabuting halimbawa sa aking kapwa.
Ipahayag ang damdamin at aksyon ng mithiin.
Okay. From Luzon, is currently a fourth-year college student taking a bachelor's of secondary education, major in English. He is the spokesperson of Samahang Magdalo Youth. Welcome to Talk Alley, Dane Elaine A. Ballester. Hello, Dane.
Hello po. Good
Hi,
evening
Dane.
po.
Welcome to
Hello
Talk
po, Ma'am
Alley.
Maria. Thank you po.
I'm glad you're here with us today. So,
Yes.
moving on to our
Yes.
next guest.
Moving on to our next guest, we will have the video first.
Lenny Robredo, hindi ka bigo, may tapang, may puso para sa Pilipino. Lenny Robredo, hindi ka bigo, may tapang, may puso para sa Pilipino. Ito lang ating pinuno, handa nang magsilbi, husay at tibay puso at isip. Kay Lenny tayo, Robredo, oh, kay Lenny tayo, Robredo, oh, oh.
Currently the spokesperson for Dapat Sileni, a volunteer organization from various sectors supporting the candidacy of VP Lenny Robredo as president in the 2022 elections, an in-house lawyer for your company based in BGC High Street, other credentials. Yes,
I'm so sorry
with
about that.
other credentials. A member of the Philippine debate community and two-time national champion on the ANC Square of Debates, televised debate tournament from all law schools in the Philippines. He was the first team captain in the USC Law Mooting team in the GSOP competition, a guest judge, ANC Square of Debates.
Wow.
He is a lawyer who uses his social media accounts to give legal advice to those subjected to government abuse.
So cool.
He drafted a primer on what to do when you receive a subpoena
Subpoena from the NBI.
from the NBI, which has been translated into several Filipino languages and used by national legal groups to help those persecuted by vindictive government officials. And recently he took part, assisted some petitioners in drafting pleadings before the Supreme Court against the anti-terror law.
Yeah.
Welcome to Talk Alley, Attorney Alvin Clyde Gregorio.
I'm so biased.
Hello, Attorney Alvin.
Hello, Attorney Alvin.
Thank you for being on Talk Alley.
Welcome to Talk Alley.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening from here. Thank you for inviting.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay.
inviting me as well.
Thank you for being
Yay.
with us.
And now, representing the Visayas.
Yes, now
Before I introduce a guest, please watch this.
Nakita mo na ba? Anong naramdaman mo? Handa ka na bang kumilos? Ito ang Kilos Ko. Ang Kilos Ko Youth ay isang samahan ng mga kabataang naglalayong magtaguyod ng pagbabago sa ating lipunan. Kasama mo, naniniwala kami na kaya nating bumuo ng mas maliwanag na kinabukasan para sa susunod na mga henerasyon. Naghahandog ang Kilos Ko Youth ng iba't ibang mga proyekto na nagtataguyod sa mga advokasya tulad ng voters education, civic engagement at agriculture. Bakit nga ba natin kailangan kumilos? Kung totoong ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan, nararapat lang na makiisa tayo sa masa nang tunay nating maintindihan ang realidad na kinakaharap ng kapwa nating Pilipino. Sa paraang ito, magiging handa tayong maglingkod sa publiko at malilinang pa natin ang ating kapasidad na manguna tungo sa mas progresibong Pilipinas. Para kanino nga ba tayo kumikilos? Para sa kanila at para na rin sa kinabukasan natin. Ikaw, para kanino ka kikilos? Sa kabataan magsisimula ang pagbabago. Sa atin magmumula ang progreso. Kaya't halika na, sali na sa Kilos Ko Youth.
Wait ako.
Okay, our guest from the Visayas, Mike, is currently a fourth year accountancy student from the University of the Philippines, Visayas. She is a former chairperson of UPV College of Management Student Council. She is also former CM representative to the University Student Council of UPV USC. Currently, she is the Deputy Executive Director for Political Affairs and spokesperson for Kilosco Youth, and she is also a junior political officer in the office of Senator Francis Kiko N. Pangilinan. Welcome to Talk Alley, Ilongga and Guapa, Dea Camille Villanueva.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning there. Good morning po, Ma'am Maria and Sir Mike, and of course, good evening to everyone.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you're right. Good afternoon, actually.
Yes.
It's 1 p.m. here right now in Germany.
Yes.
So next.
At nang makita ka, ibang sigla aking nadarama. Pag-ibig na ba ito ako'y namadama? 6, 7 Nais kong ipagtapat sa'yo, sana'y dinggin mo ang lihim ng pusong ito. Kahit na tayo'y magkaibang mundo, ikaw na ang siyang hanap-hanap kahit tagal nang ko'y nawala. Lumuluhod, nakikiusap, ako'y mahalin mo, sinta. Ikaw nga ang siyang magbabago sa akin, sa aking buhay. Handang iwanan ang lahat upang makapiling ka, sinta. Alright.
Okay, so he is a schoolmate of Dea. He graduated senior high school at West Visayas State University, Iloilo City. He was a USC counselor at West Visayas State University between 2018 and 2019. He's now in UP Visayas College of Management. He's he's the UP Visayas College of Management Mr. Fresco 2019. And JPIA Region 6 Mr. Ambassador of Goodwill 2021. Champion National Federation of Junior Philippine Institute of Accountants Next Top Model. And Outstanding Students of CAPI's Awardee in 2017. NFJPIA's Mr. Ambassador of Goodwill Philippines 2021 First Runner-Up, and currently studying at UP Visayas Bachelor of Science in Accountancy. A singer and songwriter, please welcome again to Talk Alley, Clyde Hortensio. Hi, Clyde.
Hello, Clyde.
Hi, Ma'am Maria and Sir Mike, and to all of
Okay.
you guys.
Yes.
Good evening, and sa mga viewers, good evening din.
Good evening sa mga viewers in the Philippines and good afternoon to the Filipinos here in Germany.
Yes.
So,
To our next guest. Beautiful. Finally, representing Mindanao is Kagay Amon, a gay feminist and a gender and development GAD practitioner. His pronouns are he, him, his, sha. In June 2017, he founded Mindanao Pride, an organization composed of individuals with diverse sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and sex characteristics. Sogi SU. Gender equality advocates and human rights activists. He also worked with various organizations including Samahan ng mga Pilipina para sa Reforma at Kaunlaran Inc.
Or Spark.
Spark
Yeah.
Philippines. And
Spark Philippines.
and Philippine Center for Islam and Democracy, PCID. He finished his undergraduate degree in development communication at Xavier University and is currently working on his master's degree in women and development at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. An alumnus of the Young Southeast Asian Leadership Initiative, YSEALI, academic fellowship program, he studied international civil and human rights at Kennesaw State University, Georgia, USA. In 2018, he was nominated for Amnesty International Philippines Ignite Awards for Human Rights as an outstanding young human rights defender. Ham is a certified member of the Philippines Commission on Women National Gender and Development, GID Resource Pool, and has provided technical assistance in gender mainstreaming to several government agencies and academic institutions, including the National Youth Commission Home, Mutual Development Fund, Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology. Currently, he works for the Office of the Vice President's Anti-Poverty Alleviation program called Angat Buhay, and serves as the head of the OVP's GID Technical Working Group. Welcome to Talk Alley, Hamilcar B. Chanquenco Jr. Hello, Ham.
Hi, Ham.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
thank you
Maria.
for
And
being with
hi.
us
Good
on Talk
afternoon
Alley.
there.
Thank you. Ham is on vacation right now, but he really took time to be with us today, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you that you could make.
Thank you for the
And,
invitation, Maria and
Attorney
Mike.
Alvin
Yes.
is back.
Yes, he's back with us.
Yay. Okay. So, welcome to Talk Ali, Young Filipino Achievers and Leaders.
Mhm.
Welcome, welcome.
Yes, let us introduce who we are as well.
So, for those who don't know Talk Ali, okay,
Yes, let
for
us,
the
let us
benefit of
introduce.
our guests and others who are listening and watching us for the first time.
We created Talk Alley during the height of the pandemic. We wanted to use this platform to connect to people worldwide to listen to a good and meaningful discourse. This is a platform that encourages inclusivity and welcomes all gender identity. A community that is passionate about truth and respect. An interactive social platform where listeners or viewers can be involved in the conversation. We reach out to you and you can reach out to us.
So please later write your questions in the comment section and we will try to share them with our guests.
Yes, please comment.
So in the Philippines, election fever has started in the middle of a pandemic. Right now, it's really hitting up, right? Okay, in less than 1 year, the Filipino electorate will choose a new set of public servants to lead the country. Oh, except for Attorney Alvin is not with us right now, and Dane is also missing. Okay,
It's okay,
anyway.
we can get them back.
Yeah. By show of hands, who here supports the current administration? By show of hands. Who here supports the current administration? Okay. So, our first question is describe President Duterte in one word. Let's start with Attorney Alvin. One word. He's having a hard time.
Can you hear us, Attorney Alvin?
Can you? The question is there.
Yeah,
Right
sorry, I just have some technical issues on my end.
No.
I cannot, parang it's putol-putol. But I think I got the question, one word.
Yeah, because it's also on the screen. Oh, okay. His word is disgusting.
Okay.
So, Ham,
I can, but putol, parang there's some technical problems.
Okay, don't worry, Attorney Alvin.
Okay.
So
next, Ham,
to
same
you, Ham.
question.
Mine is
President.
misogynist.
Okay.
Okay, Dane.
Sorry, sir.
That's the Dane. What's your one word to describe President Duterte?
I think he's good somehow po. Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Although I don't know him very well, but sa ano po, siguro sa pamumuno niya po, sa term niya ngayon, medyo okay naman po yung naging term niya po for this year's term.
Did you raise your hand earlier?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, maulan po kasi dito. Hindi ko po masyado naririnig.
Okay, no worries.
That's all
so,
right.
Clyde, how about you? How about
It's
you,
okay.
Clyde? One word to describe President Duterte.
Bias.
Okay, how about, and finally, Dea?
One word for me, I think, oppressor. Yeah.
To continue.
Yes, the country is currently not only facing a pandemic, but also a lot of controversial issues. First one is the war of drugs, everyone heard about, of course. For the benefit of our listeners and viewers, the Philippine drug war is the anti-drug policy and actions of the Philippine government under President Rodrigo Duterte, who assumed office on June 30th, 2016. Some 8,000 people have been killed in the Philippines. Controversial war on drugs since 2016, according to the government figures released last 5th of November 2020. And it went on even during the pandemic. Do you believe that the war on drug is a success?
Attorney Alvin, is he around?
Hi, can you hear me?
Attorney Alvin,
Sorry,
do you
I've been having
believe that the
technical
war on
difficulties.
drugs is a success? Okay, so Ham, how about you?
Of course, no. Of course, no.
Okay, Attorney Alvin is answering. Yes?
Hindi siya successful. It will never be successful with the kind of model being employed by the government. And I think it's only being used as a justification for them to continue being in power.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ham,
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
do you think the drug war is a success?
I don't think it's a
The
success.
war on drugs is
Well,
a success. Do you believe
I
it
don't
is?
think that it's a success because from the beginning it wasn't focused on really ensuring that everyone is consulted when it comes to solving the crime. It's basically just a decision that was made just because of this overwhelming emotion to cut the drugs without even thinking ahead first. So I think it's not successful. It wasn't planned enough. It wasn't consultative to those who should benefit from it.
How about you, Dane? Because Dane, as he mentioned before, he felt like the current administration is doing a better job. So how about you, Dane? Do you think the war on drugs is a success?
Actually, ma'am, kanina po, when you're asking about giving one word to describe, actually,
Yeah.
I'm not actually telling that President Duterte did his job very well. When it comes to drugs, I think hindi po rin siya naging successful for me. Kasi until now, marami pa rin po yung nakakalusot and marami pa rin po yung kumbaga meron pa rin pong malaking issue dito sa Pilipinas when it comes to drugs. So I think hindi po siya naging successful.
Okay, so Dea, what do you think would be the best solution? I mean, instead of this, a better solution instead of this punitive approaches. What do you think would have been a better solution to solve the drug war in your perception as a young Filipino?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Okay. So
loud and clear, Dea.
yeah. For the question, before this question that was received by me. So I think it's not successful because basically it did not solve the root cause of it all, like the poverty in the country. So probably as a youth, I don't have that specific solution that can be given since there are a lot of legal matters that are needed to be considered, most probably for the exact solution. But what I can say is they should target the root cause of all this, of the drugs, of the different problems in the country, which is, of course, the poverty that our Filipinos are experiencing nowadays. So,
The same question, Clyde.
Same question. I would like to answer first the first question, if it is
Okay.
success or not. For me, it's not success because a lot of people have been killed. A lot of, a lot, I mean, a lot of innocent people has been killed without
Mhm.
evidence na they're addict or pusher or whatsoever. And yung mga feelings na yun, parang hindi masyadong process.
Mhm.
Tapos, pag kinakontrola nila na drug-addict ka na, nanlaban, and I don't think those people na nanlaban are really nanlaban because some of them have no weapons or ano. Tapos, ano po yung second question?
The next question. Are you asking for the next question?
Yes, parang
As a young Filipino, what do you think would have been the best solution instead of this punitive approach by the current administration in eliminating drugs in the country?
Okay, I agree with Ate Dea said na yeah, we should address the root cause. And for me, we should focus on other matters like um, education. So and improve uh, improve na sahod sa mga manggagawa sa kung saan man trabaho para sa mga walang trabaho. Kasi parang some of the reasons bakit gumagano yung mga tao, like taking drugs or whatsoever, are stress, are temptations. And yung minsan nagbebenta dahil wala rin pera. So, yeah, poverty is the reason. So, we should address the poverty and other problems to minimize the use of drugs of Filipino people.
Okay. So, in connection with that,
Yes, in connection with that, are you in favor of the legalization of medical marijuana in the country?
by the show of hands, who's in favor for the legalization of medical marijuana in the country? By show of hands, are you in favor, guys? You can raise your hand if you are.
Who's in favor of legalization of marijuana?
Medical marijuana. No.
No one?
Why not, Ham?
I was actually still thinking about it until now because I think I need more research about it. But based on my
Yeah.
reading, I would have to say um, I agree. No, I agree to the legalization of medical marijuana for the purpose of, again, medical purposes. So long as it's not abused, so long as it is used for ensuring that our kababayans um are can benefit from the medical marijuana, then why not? So maybe that's my thought for now, but I think I'd have to think twice to really have a 100% yes to legalizing medical marijuana. Thank you, Mike and
Dea,
Marie.
how about you? You're also not in favor. Why
S-
not?
Same with Ham actually. Na I think I should read more about the details or the specifics of the legalization of the medical marijuana, because of course in our country we need to consider the people who will be able to utilize or use this medical marijuanas that are going to be legalized if ever here in our country. And just like what Ham said, there is a tendency for other people to abuse it if there is no like set regulations or like concrete rules on how to um, regularly or to how to responsibly use the said medical marijuana. So yeah, I agree to what everything Ham said, that for now, as long as it will be beneficial for our fellow Filipino peoples, then I am affirmative for it. But personally, I think I can read more about the topic so that I can give an elaborative explanation on how to explain my side with regards to this matter. So yes.
We understand, Dea. How about you, Dane? What do you think of the legalization of medical marijuana in the country?
Personally speaking, ma'am, actually, I am not in favor of that legalization of marijuana because, as we all know, Filipinos are not actually following rules when it comes to using that kind of medicine in moderation. So I think minsan po kasi 'di ba ma'am, there are Filipinos na they use marijuana not for medical purposes but for their kagustuhan nila, and sometimes na overuse yon and na-abuse, and it caused so much burden sa ating bansa, and sometimes nadadagdag po yun sa issue natin when it comes to war on drugs.
So you're saying that with the situation right now in the country, there will big possibility that it will be abused.
Yes, especially po this pandemic. Yep po. I think it will be overused by the Filipino people. Siguro yung iba po, and siguro yung iba hindi. But para po sa akin, mostly or most of the Filipinos.
Are you saying generally Filipinos tend to be abusive when it comes to the use of their privileges or authorities or
Actually, ma'am, there are some. Yun po,
some.
given na po yun na there are some talaga na kahit anong gawin nila, they will use it in a bad purpose. Yun po.
Actually, it also took a while for Germany to legalize the medical marijuana.
Yes,
Also, it's just like a few years before pandemic that they started to legalize medical marijuana here in the country. It's really strict because I used to work for a startup company which specializes the legal marijuana. But we have not that we have the marijuana. I'm in the IT side, so we have an app. So I was doing that. I'm not holding marijuana or anything.
Yes, and there were some
So,
pilot projects also
yeah.
that underwent in Berlin to specific sectors in Berlin can sell marijuana, and then they wanted to investigate on how this
Yeah.
works.
What I'm just saying earlier is that the process for really acquiring medical marijuana here in Germany is really hard. Yeah, when I was working with the app, it took, there's so many like paper trail talaga na it has to go through a certain department, the doctor, they have to make sure that the doctor really addressed all the issues before, issuing a, what do you call this? uh,
Prescription.
prescription,
Mhm.
yeah, for medical marijuana to the patient. So it's really hard also to get an approval here in Germany. So now next, the Sogi bill. So yeah, it's been like almost more than how long ago was it passed? Half 10 years, a decade already, right?
It's been actually
Oh, he's
Oh,
gone.
Ham disappeared for a
Yes.
moment.
So the Dasugi bill in a news briefing with House Deputy
Let's
Speaker.
watch actually
Yes.
did you the video? First shot? Ah no.
No.
Okay, anyway. So there was a video where Senator Tito Soto said that half of the 24 senators are against the Sogi bill.
Yes.
He said, we can safely say, and we have studied this proposition already, that there's no need for it. Yeah, by the show of hands, do you agree with Senator Tito Soto that we don't need the Sogi bill? No one agrees with him. Why not, Attorney Alvin? Finally, you're back. Attorney Alvin. Hello.
Probably still having some issues. Then we move
Okay,
on to
we move
Dane.
on to Dane. Yes, Dane.
Yes po.
Do you agree with what Senator Soto said that there is no need for the Sogi bill?
Actually, ma'am, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Because if we have women's right, if we have children's right, I think we deserve soju bills then for our other citizens po. Ayan po. And I think it will help then and it will protect then sa ating mga ka-community po, especially to those who are in LGBTQ community.
Okay. How about you, Clyde?
Actually, I agree with what Dean said. Actually, wait lang. Same answer. Same answer. I don't.
What is your answer? What is your answer?
Where
What do you understand about the Sogi bill?
it protects the right. It protects people of the LGBTQ and yeah, protection sa
From what?
kanila.
From discrimination and protect their rights as well. So do you agree with what Senator Soto said that there's no need?
No, I don't agree because they are also they're also discriminated just like other marginal
Have you been
people.
discriminated, right?
Yes, I think it's normal sa isang tao.
Okay.
Mga discriminate.
How about you, Dea?
Okay, I disagree with Tito Soto, but I agree with what Dane and Clyde said. And I believe that Ham would have a lot of say regarding this issue because he's truly an advocate of this. But on my side, it's basically not for the LGBTQIA plus people to have greater rights as compared to others, but this is for them to have equal rights with the other people, and of course, this is for them to be protected because the Soji bill is also known as the anti-discrimination bill, if I am correct. So yeah, this is basically for them to be protected against discrimination that they are receiving from other people, especially here in the Philippines. There are a lot of people, or they tend to receive a lot of discriminations or irrational discriminations from other people just because of their preferences. So I don't agree with what Tito Soto said that we do not need Soji bill here in our country. So thank you.
So in the Philippines, Mike, there's a really large number of Catholic people. So with that, do you think that same-sex marriage should be allowed in the country, Attorney Alvin?
same-sex marriage. I think
Yeah.
very, very conservative when it comes to the Philippine society is very conservative when it comes to that. I think the best compromise that we can give is essentially same-sex civil unions. Because I think if you take a look at the upheavals right now, I mean, not a lot of gay people are really clamoring for same-sex marriage, but just to be given the benefits and the rights that are being accorded to straight couples or heterosexual couples who are married. So essentially, the government recognizing these unions, giving tax cuts, essentially to domestic partners and all these things. Because I think there's an element of religiosity when it comes to marriage per se, but when it comes to the movement and the upheavals and what has been clamored for by this group, it's essentially the government recognizing that they have certain rights, that they're no less than heterosexual couples. And I think we should tread in that direction.
Mhm. Thank you. Yes, I agree. I'm also an advocate of. I'm a member of Iloilo Pride team, so I'm an advocate also, especially when it comes to the rights of the LGBTQA community. So, how about you, Ham? Finally, Ham is the founder of Mindanao Pride.
I'm so sorry I got disconnected earlier. Anyway,
Now we
yes, it's been
understand. And
I
tell
got
me
caught
how
up
you
in
made me
traffic.
thinking. Tell me about it.
Yes, I got caught up in the
Yeah.
asked me how many years have been the Soji equality been
Yes.
languishing. It's been 20 years actually, almost 2 decades, no? And we've been
Mhm.
really fighting for the rights of the LGBTIQ plus people, particularly in for Mindanao Pride. Our work focuses on the sexual and gender minorities or SGM populations in non-metropolitan areas, no? So there are also LGBTIQ people outside of Metro Manila, and that is something that we have to also highlight, no? I've heard here earlier that Maria, you're also a member of the Iloilo Pride team, and actually Iloilo Pride team is one of our partners when we talk about regional pride movements in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And yes, on the conversation on whether the Soji Equality Bill should be passed, what I mean, basically, I'm an advocate, so therefore, I should, thus I really support the passage of the Soji Equality Bill. Just a misconception that a lot of people thought about LGBTI, the Soji Equality Bill, is that the Soji Equality Bill only protects the LGBTIQ plus community, but it doesn't. Okay, so basically, the Soji Equality Bill protects everyone because everyone has Soji SE. Everyone has sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and sex characteristics. And thus, it protects everyone and it doesn't only protects the sexual and gender minorities. Well, the second question, whether same-sex marriage marriage equality should be supported, I believe I'm 100% because it's my lived experience. I'm currently in a relationship, in a very serious relationship, and we're really having plans in the future. I really would want to have a
Yay.
family of my own, but the sad thing is that it, homosexual couples in the Philippines are not protected by the law, and
Yeah.
thus having that kind of law passed in our legislature will give us a chance, to achieve our fullest potential and live a life with dignity. So yes,
Yes.
I'm 100% supportive of the marriage equality if there's a law in the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the European Union agrees.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can
So
I just
yeah.
add another
Yes.
thing, Maria? Sorry, because I wasn't there in the discussion about Tito Soto, but I really want to chime in. I agree with what Ham said. It's not really about just, for example, according a special benefits for the LGBTQ. Essentially, it's recognizing that you can't be discriminated based on that. Right. And if you take a look at what's happening right now, I mean, there's still a lot of, like, for example, transsexuals who get mauled to death and they're being killed just because of them being transsexuals. And for example, if there is no discrimination against that particular group, then how come this is happening? And you know what? We don't even have to look too far. Let's take a look at, for example, what Senator Ping or Senator Tito said, wherein they said that in order to be an effective president, na parang hindi pwede yung ano lang, like puro heart, parang ganyan. So essentially saying that if you're a woman, you cannot
really be a president or a vice president. And you know what? That's very discriminatory because as we've seen, you can have a president na lalaki pero duwag at walang ginagawa. And we can have a vice president na babae siya pero in terms of what she's doing, in terms of being courageous, in terms of making the hard decisions, it's actually her. So I think ultimately that's the goal of Soji, to essentially make people realize that how you are approximated as an individual has got nothing to do with your gender or your gender expression or your identity. It's what you're capable of doing. And yeah, that's one thing. And sorry, for my last thing, for example, similar to what Ham said, if you take a look at right now, no, our laws, for example, in heterosexual relationships, if a wife would die, the husband will become a compulsory heir. Essentially, the state gives certain rights to that. But for example, if you have domestic partners who are essentially living their lives, para na talaga silang mag-asawa, if one person dies, the state doesn't recognize that and invalidates that kind of union even. But who is to say that that is a less you know what, it's a less of a relationship as compared to what the state recognizes. So in that particular discourse, I agree so much with my fellow speakers in their views.
Yes, I mentioned that to Mel, the director, last week, right?
Yes.
It's not only, there's more to it. Like, for example, couples are living together and they decided to adopt a child, and one passes away. So the other wants to protect his right over the child,
Yes.
or over their properties. They were living together, invested together, so they have to protect their properties as well. So, yes, I agree with all of you. We are
Thank you,
one in
yes.
that, yes, definitely. So last August 27 could have been changed. The Commission on Higher Education announced that over 100 higher education institutions nationwide have been allowed to hold limited face-to-face classes. Do you think Philippines is ready to conduct face-to-face classes? We have three students here who are still in uni. Dane, Clyde, and Dea.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Are you ready? Clyde?
Go, Clyde.
In whose perspective, I think students are ready for face-to-face discussions, but uh, I think the government first, with their power, should do a better response sa pandemic because as of now, the cases are very high, still very high, and it's getting more risky mag-conduct ng face-to-face classes. So I think they should uh, have first a better response sa pandemic. So if medyo manageable na sa, although hindi pa naubos yung cases, I think it's the school are ready to conduct face-to-face classes because online class is very counterproductive and useless for me as a student. I experienced it myself.
Okay. Okay, Dea, how about you? Are you ready? Do you agree with the government that college students should have already a
Yeah.
face-to-face?
So actually, just like what Mama Maria said, me and Clyde are actually schoolmates and course mates even. And I personally think that that's why we're calling for ligtas na balik eskwela. The online setup is really hard. It's not just hard in terms of academics, but it's hard when it comes to the mental health of the students because it's really taking toll on us, less human interaction as compared to what we normally have during face-to-face classes. And we cannot risk na we'll hop in hastily na just because we want face-to-face classes, then we will push for face-to-face classes. Of course, we want a safe or yun nga, a ligtas na balik eskwela. We want to make sure that before we return to our universities, to our classrooms, be with our friends, listen to our professors within a classroom, everything or the situation is better. And of course, just like what Clyde mentioned, the government should have a better COVID-19 response or better pandemic response in order for us to be fully sure and comfortable in returning to our universities, especially for us who are not living in the same city. Like for example, I am from Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, and I need to go to Iloilo if during face-to-face classes, if ever face-to-face classes will resume. So of course, a lot of us are hesitant to travel because of the high cases, especially now in Iloilo. So despite our urge or our desire to have the face-to-face classes, we don't want to do it hastily. We want to make sure that the situation is better, and the government has the power to make the situation better. So yes.
Yes. Yeah, because there's a a really high chance for not just they can be a spreader also, a
Yes.
super spreader. Any one of them can be a spreader of the virus. So, how about you, Dane?
Um, Actually,
How do
ma'am,
you
as a
feel living in
student,
Luzon area? Yeah.
actually, ma'am, as a student, this
Yeah.
pandemic was really a life changing. From face to face to online classes, wherein hindi po
Mhm.
talaga kami ready. Hindi kami ready dun sa new learning modalities namin, which is online learning nga. And I think, personally speaking, I'm always ready. I'm ready. And gustong-gusto ko na po talaga mag face-to-face because ibang-iba po talaga yung face-to-face sa online learning. Kumbaga, mas maraming burden yung naranasan namin sa online learning kasi ang hirap po makipagsabayan, lalo na po ngayon na kumbaga meron din kaming na-experience na sa economic status namin, and sometimes we are having a hard time na para sa loads, and basta lang makapag-participate lang sa online learning. And siguro maiintindihan naman po namin if yung government hindi pa po ready. Kasi po, alam naman po natin na masyado pa pong mataas. Marami pa po yung case dito sa Pilipinas ng COVID-19. Siguro for safety na din, siguro kami na lang po ulit maghihintay na lang po kami whenever the government is ready, whenever the school is ready.
And that coming from our future teacher, Dane.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully, ma'am. I'm a graduating student na po ako, ma'am.
Yes, that's why. I mentioned congratulations
Hopefully.
also.
Thank you
And
po.
it's very, we have hope when someone like Dane's going to be a teacher in the future. You know that his passion, is passionate in his profession talaga.
Yes, teach them well.
So, next, by show of hands.
Yes, by show of hands, who here believe that the Department of Health and this administration is successful in their COVID-19 pandemic response? No, everyone.
Bea is laughing.
Talaga.
Everyone is laughing.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
So, is that a no? Yeah. What do you think? Wait, before we discuss that, let's have this question first because it connects with the unsuccessful response because no one raised their hand. Do you guys think that Department of Health Secretary Duque owes the country a clear explanation of the COA findings?
Of course.
By show of hands. Yeah? Yeah, he needs to explain himself, right? Right. Just for your information, Mike, 67.3 billion in anomalies flagged within the Department of Health was flagged by the Commission on Audit. So, yun, there's so many. There's like 42 billion that was intended for the DOH's COVID-19 response, but was transferred to procurement or implementing partner agencies without proper memoranda of agreement and other supporting documents. There's 11.89 billion in budget allotment, so the DOH has not been obligated as of December 31st of last year. There's just so much money, billions of pesos. So what do you think of this, Attorney Alvin?
Well, for me, personally, napakabastos ng ginawa nila. Kasi, I mean, the reason why parang we try to, for example, streamline how it is when you try to procure these items is because we recognize that we are in a pandemic. And for them to not even answer squarely the allegations, for me, it's really the height of parang sobrang sobrang there's a special place in hell for people who have the audacity to steal when people are dying, when people no longer have the means to support themselves. And if titingnan mo kasi, kaya galit na galit din yung mga tao kasi 'di ba ang daming nawalan ng trabaho tapos nakikita pa natin na parang there's a lot of anomalous na mga transactions. And what did we get from Secretary Duque? Parang umiyak lang siya kasi winarak daw sila. Ang kapal ng mukha kasi siya yung nag-head ng Department of Health. If he is not accountable by direct participation, by the very fact alone that he is the head of Department of Health, he is accountable kasi yung chain of liability and command nasa kanya talaga. And you know what, this is really the kind of if you go to other countries, for example, even if may konting pera lang that we cannot account for, these people will resign. But in the Philippines, apparently that's not the case. Ang nangyayari pa, it's COA that's actually being vilified by the President and the Secretary of Health, which is nakakagalit. And ang kapal ng mukha niya, he should resign, should step down. He's a disgrace to the Filipinos. Yun lang. Sorry, carried away.
No, it's fine. We like honest opinions.
Yeah.
And that is true. He should not only be held accountable, he should be in jail. Most of the people who are currently in the Philippines should be in jail. There's so many, unaccounted billions. We're not talking about like hundreds of millions only. We're talking about billions, and the country's already in debt, right? So many people, like personally, and also you. Mike had an uncle, and I also had an uncle who's a doctor who both died. They're frontliners, so they both died because of COVID-19. And every day I was just telling, my family that every day I have to write my condolences, extend my condolences on Facebook every day, like to 10 people. So many people are dying in the country right now. So many, not only old people, young people are also dying.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah, it's a really sad situation.
In comparison here in Germany, we have also a very high cases of people who are infected with the virus, but we have only like two-digit number of deaths, like 12. It's of course still a lot.
Still a lot,
but the response here is
really fast.
Yeah, you get boosters, and then they in France, for example, the administration doesn't let people work anymore if they are not vaccinated, and they are protesting against it because they think it's a violation of their human rights.
Yeah. So there's also a conflict right now here in Germany because of that. But anyway, we've had our vaccine, and now we're in line for the booster. But in the Philippines, there's still a lot of people who hasn't received their vaccination, right? Yes, Deya? Have you been vaccinated?
Yes, po. Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. What do you think went wrong besides his corruption or the corruption of people involved in the Department of Health? Attorney Alvin.
What went wrong in terms of Secretary Duque ba to?
Yes. His appointment.
Yeah, okay.
It's already
Yeah, his
wrong.
appointment. I mean, for example, he's supposed to be the Secretary of Health. And if we take a look at the situation right now, we are actually in a pandemic. So very, very crucial and critical that you have a Secretary of Health who actually knows what he's doing, right? But if you take a look at the policies being adopted, for example, hinahayaan nila na may face shield. Like, ano yan? Parang everyone knows that face shield doesn't work. Even the World Health Organization, even the CDC. Tapos, di ba, may image pa siya dating may dala siyang meter stick na parang mga ganyan. I mean, that's for the social distancing. Yeah, so it's very absurd because like it's not scientific based na parang ganyan. And you're supposed to be the Secretary of Health. And the Secretary of Health, he should also know how to balance. For example, like there is a need for us to manage the the industry sa hospital na ganyan, and also to take care of our healthcare workers. Pero ang nangyayari, parang he doesn't even take the side of healthcare workers when they're saying that stop, moratorium muna because we are overwhelmed and we need to do some interventions. So he doesn't really sympathize with them, even when he's the Secretary of Health. And on top of that, he's not even handling the funds being entrusted to him, being in a position of confidence. People trust him. And for him, wala. Parang nawaldas lang yung pera. Yeah, and that's just even weirder because sorry we have to go back to COA. COA ka naman kasi parang it's really their it's really their constitutionally enshrined duty to ensure that all these other government branches, they're not abusing their power. And so number one, when the president said na hindi pwedeng gawin ng COA yun, no, actually COA is an independent parang it's also a constitutional creation na hindi pwedeng panghimasukan ng Office of the President. So lahat ng opinion ni President Duterte in his personal capacity at wala pang ang sustansya. That's number one. And number two, parang sa Pilipinas mo lang makikita na COA is flagging that there are potential anomalies, and yet you have a president who says that I'm willing to vouch for the integrity of this person even without knowing kung ano talaga yung credit or merit of this finding. As a president, you're supposed to have your loyalties to the Filipino people. When you have a government agency that's entrusted with a lot of billions and may anomalies, your default reaction should be for you to be angry. For you to say na parang alam mo, ang budget nga natin, kakarampot na lang binigay natin sa Department of Health and yet winaldas. But what do we have? A president who is willing to vouch, willing daw siyang layuan yung kaibigan niya. I mean, it's so absurd, it doesn't make sense. That's just for me. So everything about Secretary Duque is wrong on so many levels.
Yes. And speaking of face shield, I haven't seen one face shield here in Germany. Actually, I've never seen it here in Germany. None. It's really funny when I see a face shield. I've never seen it. And the students now from kinder level and university students are conducting face-to-face classes already.
Yes.
So,
yes. And sorry, Maria, can I just add to that? Even the World Health Organization and CDC, they already said that wala naman talaga siyang naitutulong, except for example, if you're in a hospital, it's a hospital setting. But it's just that here is being implemented. And instead of when people try to ask, na, okay, bakit may ganito tayong policy, even when it doesn't make sense, wala na, because huhulihin ka na lang. Okay, you don't follow, you go to jail. That's not how you're supposed to do it. It's a public health issue. It's a public health concern. And especially with the rumors na meron pa daw politiko kasi na exclusive na nag-i-import niyan, kaya nagkakaroon ng, there's actually that kind of aspect. So again, if that is true, that someone is profiting off of it, even if it doesn't make sense anymore, we're screwed. Kasi wala. Hindi siya science-based.
Right now, in the Senate, right? It's under investigation, and it has. They questioned Senator Bongo about it in connection with Pharmaly.
Yes.
Pharmaly. Right?
Like, it doesn't make sense, ha? Parang we're getting our face shields from China, but China doesn't even implement face shields. So, parang, okay, nag-iisa lang talaga tayo. And I know for a fact that if you travel to other countries, if galing ka ng Pilipinas, naka-face shield ka, paglapag mo sa ibang bansa, pinapatanggal yan kasi it doesn't really make sense. So, it's a really sad facet of our COVID response.
Other countries say that Filipinos really are very creative. You know what's worse? Remember that shield in the motorcycle that they implemented? They tried to implement that, right? Also, really use a huge shield. Yeah. You ride a motorcycle, you need to have for social distancing and stuff. That's the worst, actually. But the creativity of these people are really amazing. I'm amazed.
But you know what? Okay lang, alam mo Maria, okay lang siguro if it's just creativity. But if you try to analyze it from a practical standpoint, obviously if you create a demand for these things, if you create a demand for face shields, if you create a demand for yung barrier, meron kasing person who profits off of it, diba? And considering right now that we really have to scrimp on whatever money or funds that we have for you to impose this on people and then jail them for not complying, it's really the height of so much government tyranny, if you ask me. Kasi if wala naman talagang scientific basis, bakit mo pagkagagastusin yung mga tao to pay for that? And if they try to question it, ay, hindi ko sinusunod yung gobyerno, kulong ka ngayon. Parang, hindi na ba tayo pwede mag-isip? Parang, bakit pa tayo binigyan ng utak if sunod lang tayo ng sunod?
Ayan. Tama, that's true. Or next question. By show of hands.
Yes. So by show of hands,
No. By show of hands, do you think the country is ready to have an election? Yay! Yes. Dane, are you ready to have an election also? How about you, Clyde? Have you registered, Clyde? Ah, you're both Clyde, you know. That's why we call him Attorney Alvin, because he's also Clyde. Yeah, that's why you're Clyde and he's Attorney Alvin. Okay, so everyone is ready to have an election. Why do you believe that the country is ready? Because there's a pandemic. For us, there's a pandemic. There is a lot of possibility that they can do a lot of things. You make the pandemic an excuse. So why do you think the Philippines is ready for an election, Deya?
I think the country is ready for the election because if we will extend the election date, the current administration will still handle the pandemic response and nothing will change. So if we will wait for them to like put an end to it, we don't know when can we vote for the next set of the administration that will have probably a better response to this pandemic that we're experiencing. So I believe that we're now ready for the May 2022 elections and just get over it and have a new set of leaders, hopefully, that can do a better pandemic response if it's still, evident in the country during that time.
You know, before Dane answered the same question, you know why we asked the youth leaders from the Philippines to appear today? Because we here in Germany, there's so many Filipinos that we meet that still believes that everything is doing well in the country. So we wanted them to listen and hear it from your perspective because you're there. So mas alam nyo, di ba? You know what's happening, you know what's going on, you deal with it every day with your daily lives. So we want them to see that, hey, you're not in the Philippines anymore, you're here in Germany. So please listen to these young leaders, young Filipinos who are in the country right now. So Dane, what do you think?
I think, Mom, the Philippines is ready for election because we are ready for, or the Philippines is ready for change, specifically a better change. And I think the yung mga susunod na mga leaders natin, I think they are also ready para sa pagbabago po. Kasi alam naman po natin na we are suffering a lot ngayon po, especially this pandemic. And I think we have new leaders that will lead us na yung kumbaga yung mas maayos and mas productive, mas magiging productive yung bansa natin. Yun po.
How about you, Clyde? What do you think? Are you ready? Have you registered?
Yes, I'm registered.
Yay!
Yeah, I think that the Philippines is now ready to have a new election because I think marami ng mga natutulog yung nagising. Tapos, marami mga tao ang hindi sa ngayon sa approach ng government sa pandemic. Tas madami ng mga tao ang gusto ng bagong leader, ang gusto mapunta yung power sa more deserving na tao.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Attorney Alvin, we both support dapat si Lenny. I said it.
Dapat si Lenny. Dapat si Lenny. Can I just say, also Maria, from Dea and Clyde, marami kaming mga organizers from Dapat si Lenny who are also from UP Iloilo and Mayagaw, UP Visayas. So much love and to your school. Yung mga kapag-dinners din namin. So ayun, I just want to say, of course, kailangan talaga ng elections. And if titingnan kasi natin, like number one, hindi kasi nila pwedeng sabihin na parang, okay, we don't know how to do this because there's a pandemic. Ever since 2020, they already know that elections is upcoming in 2022. That's a lot of time for them to prepare, right? And ang nakakainis kasi dito, as early as when the lockdown started, we already had certain representatives who were saying na, okay, probably sa 2022, hindi na tayo mag-elections kasi pandemic. But we all know that that's being spurred on by an ulterior motive, na personal motive, because they just want to perpetuate themselves in power. And I think Dea was asking a very good question. Kaya pa ba natin ng 6 years na sila yung namumuno? Wala, naubos na yung pera ng bayan. Nanakawin na nilang lahat yan. Right? That's number one. And number two, hindi naman kasi pwedeng sabihin din na they don't know what to do, because a lot of countries have also held elections. And probably what we can do is we can take a look at their examples as to how they were able to do it without it turning into a super spreader event. That's number two. And number three, as a part of the legal profession, para kasing elections kasi, parang this is the ultimate exercise of our democracy. And I think it leaves a bad taste in the mouth when some of the congressmen are saying na suspend na lang dahil may pandemic. Number one kasi, hindi kayo above the Philippine Constitution. Who are you to say that you are just suspending it just because you want to suspend it? Hindi pwede yan. We should respect the Constitution at all times. And walang mga exception, especially yung mga ganyan, na alam natin that their motive is just for them to continue being in power. That being said, dapat si Lenny.
Tama.
Correct.
Dapat si Lenny. Say it. Dapat
si Lenny.
si Lenny. Say it again.
Dapat si Lenny.
Yeah. Okay, I'm teaching him Filipino now. So, dapat si Lenny. I agree with Attorney Alvin, and I agree that dapat si Lenny. Anyway, so next question, Mike. Okay, Mike is lost. He's so engrossed with what's happening. Why is it important that we encourage the youth to have a political participation? And how should you encourage them to participate? Do you think the youth now are more involved in politics? Dane?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that the youth are more involved in politics? Because it's here in Germany, we feel it really with Fridays for Future. They're always, trying to make their voices heard. Every Fridays they demonstrate before pandemic. They were out on the streets here in Germany, like 300,000 Germans, young Germans, went out on the street to make their voices heard. How about you, Dane? What do you think of that?
As we all know, ma'am, youths today plays an important role when it comes to politics. They have a big help in choosing the best leaders for our country. And I think youth must be participate in when it comes in politics. Kasi katulad nga po ng sabi ko, just like po kami po dito sa amin, we are also rooting for a better what do we call this? Kumbaga, we are rooting for
better leadership?
Yes.
Better
government.
Better
Yeah. And
just choose one, okay.
Katulad po sa Magdalo po, Magdalo, Samahang Magdalo is one of its aims is to promote good governance and active participation, especially when it comes to politics and anti-corruption. And as a youth, as a spokesperson, I want to encourage all the youths out there to participate in the election in politics, because they have a big part in the success of our country. Yes, po.
Okay.
Yes. What do you want from your next leaders?
In terms of?
Yeah. In terms of employment.
Employment. How about you, Dea?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. What do you want from your next leaders in terms of employment?
Oh, okay. So yeah, especially amidst this pandemic, a lot of Filipinos lose their jobs, lose their employments, and even in the sector of agriculture, even on the different sectors, and there are a lot of um, jobs that were offered online through online, like for example BPOs and all that. But excuse me, it's really important to have a leader, a national leader, that will prioritize not just like the big companies, but also one who can support or pave way for the small businesses, or provide support for the local businesses, especially not everyone has the privilege to be qualified and be employed in big companies, because that commonly requires stellar academic background, which we know that our fellow Filipinos cannot afford, because sadly, unfortunately, here in the Philippines, not everyone has the chance to go to college, go to university. So it's really important for someone to who can offer support, who can provide assistance to those who wants to build their own businesses, build their own handicrafts, or whatever work that they want to enter, especially in this pandemic, since we can't proceed or return to the usual setting of employment here in the country. So yes.
Okay. What do you want from your next leaders in terms of environment, Clyde?
Environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since the current administration focused on building more infrastructure for economy, so, I think, I don't know, siguro they should give power to kung sino talaga yung yung may alam sa environment, like
Experts.
developers, like let them handle the environmental sector for like mga DNR. And I think the next leaders should also prioritize environment. I don't know what to say anymore. Parang ganun lang. Wala pumupunta sa isip ko.
Okay, so what do you want from your next leaders in terms on engagement with citizens, Attorney Alvin?
What I want. Of course, the next leader that we want, I think, should be someone who respects the views of the citizens. In the sense na someone who really recognizes that when you are a public servant, it doesn't mean that everything comes from you, because it has to be consultative, it has to be inclusive, it has to be collaborative. And I think that's a very big problem in terms of the kind of leaders that we have right now, in terms of the laws that we have. For example, if you disagree with the government, you're red tagged, automatically you become an enemy of the state and all these things, which I think is very, very arrogant. Kasi hindi lang naman yung gobyerno may monopoly of ideas in terms of how we should be running the country. And so I think that's very, very crucial and very, very important. Someone who respects the fact that nation building it involves practically everyone. So dapat irespeto mo yung views ng mga tao, kasi hindi lang naman ikaw yung magaling at marunong.
Okay, so now the question is for all of you: do you have someone in mind? Dane first.
Pardon, ma'am.
Do you have someone in mind? This is your chance to tell us. Who do you have in mind as the next leader of the country? Your next leader for you.
One of the leader that we are rooting for this term, for this year's election, is Vice President Leni Robredo. Yeah, because as far as I know,
it's for you. Your choice.
Yeah, it's my actually it's my choice, ma'am, because I know she has the characteristic, the capability to rule and to take, or kumbaga, to put our country in a what do you call this, in a safe oh my god. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I guess she has the capability to to handle our country in a very good way and in a very
Mhm.
good path. Kasi po, I know she's strong and
Mhm.
she has the courage and she
Mhm.
also has the kumbaga meron din po siyang pangarap din po para sa bansa natin, and I know she can win this election, hopefully, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Dane. How about you, Clyde? Who do you have in mind as your next leader?
People in mind. One is Attorney Michelle Jokno, and yeah, of course,
Mhm.
the other one is VP Lenny. But now we're focusing VP Lenny. I observed that she is very responsive in terms of country's problems. One of which is what she did on the flooding in Cagayan. Is that in Cagayan? Yes.
Mhm.
Parang nag-hands-on siya sa mga ano. Kasi I'm involved din sa pagtawag-tawag ng mga
Relief
rescuers.
operation?
Huh?
Logistics? You're involved with the
Yeah.
logistics during the flooding in Cagayan.
I work with the members of Anduwagi and other partner organizations. Kasi,
Okay.
like, yung role namin is naging caller sa between rescuers and yung mga people na nandun sa bahay nila. So, and I think, yeah, Pipi Lenny really did a great job during that time. But not just that time. I also see Lenny, even some of the people, some people think that women are weaker. I don't think na
Who
weak
said
naman.
that? No, just kidding.
Other people,
Okay.
mga traditional, mga
Traditional
oldies.
politicians, yung mga trapo.
Oo. Feel nila pag babae, madali lang overpower yung other, like, ma-influence, ganun.
Oo.
Pero I disagree with that.
Yes, that's so
Because,
sad.
yeah, men and women are both equal. Yeah, I have to stand
Of course,
with
we
that.
are.
Hindi
Okay,
babae
Bea,
lang.
who do you
Babae
have
lang,
in mind?
babae.
Thank you, Clyde. How about you, Dea? Who do you have in mind?
Okay. So for if this is we're talking about presidential bets, of course, just like the alliance wherein Attorney Alvin is a part of course dapat si Lenny. I truly believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney, pero diba, like the budget that was allotted to the OVP is relatively small compared to the other offices, or yeah, to
Yes.
compared to the other departments. But the OVP was still able to, is still and currently working so hard when it comes to the pandemic response and other calamities, just like what Clyde mentioned during the Cagayan flooding and other typhoons that wreak havoc in the country. But you can see that despite the little amount of ginigipit, kung ang term nga is ginigipit sila ng administration, but the OVP still managed to produce high quality of service to the masses, directly to the masses, and very transparent with regards to their finances, as they were rated the highest, I think, by the COA during the recent auditing. So we can see where these funds are going. Like they receive these funds and where these funds are being allotted, where they are being expensed. So, yun nga, just like what Attorney Alvin said kanina, na hindi daw, like, ang mga sabi nga ni President Duterte na hindi pwedeng puro puso lang yung gamit. But this woman with a big heart managed to, perform well for
Yeah.
her duties. So, yes.
As Dea, I just wanna butt in. As Dea mentioned about the funding of VP Lenny, she only got in 2020 around 679 million. That's too far away from the intelligence fund requested under the office of the president, which is about 4.5 billion pesos, which I don't know where they used it for. Okay. Yeah. And finally,
Yes.
Attorney Alvin, who do you have in mind?
Pag-iisipan ko pa. Hindi, joke. Of course, of course, that's even the reason why we started the Dapat Si Lenny movement, to be honest. Ano lang kasi it started off as a conversation among friends kasi as a brief background, if I may share, lahat kasi kami, we are part of the Philippine debate community. Tapos, i-divulge ko na ngayon, nagsimula to lahat, nag-i-numan kami. So, on the internet, habang nag-iinom, ganyan. Tapos parang sobrang nagagalit na kami sa nangyayari. And then we asked ourselves na, ano ba yung pwede nating gawin for us to change really yung status quo? Nabuo yung Dapat Si Lenny. Originally, we just wanted it to be for debaters. And then when we opened it up, we were overwhelmed by the number of volunteers who wanted to take part in Dapat Si Lenny. And personally, I think wala nang iba, si VP Lenny na lang talaga for 2022. Kasi if mapapansin mo, Maria, we've been using yung tagline na husay at tibay. Kasi, bakit mahusay? Kasi ang daming qualities, but we wanted to zero in on the top 2 attributes of VP Lenny. Mahusay siya. Kasi even before the pandemic and during the pandemic, if mapapansin mo, siya lang talaga yung nagme-make sense when it comes to the programs and the policies that she introduces consistently. May mababato ka ba sa kanyang any anomalies? Wala. Wala at all. Chismis lang na mga propagandists, mga fake news. Kasi walang mababato when it comes to that. That's mahusay. And also, she's matibay. Kasi, yun nga, despite sa ang daming mga fake news about her, parang actually she's being assaulted on the fact lang that she's a woman, and that's very offensive. And
Flips her hair.
Yeah, flips her hair. She doesn't care because she's actually doing a great job. And so yun, mahusay siya at matibay siya. And of course, especially right now, na nakita talaga natin kung gaano ka-capable or inutile yung government officials natin in this pandemic. Siya lang yung nagme-make sense. If you can recall, when the pandemic started, when the lockdown started, she gave a lot of recommendations and guidelines. Ito yung gagawin, yung magma-mass testing, yung mga isolation, mga ganyan-ganyan. And yet, hindi pinakinggan. And nakita natin eventually, the government is actually doing what she's doing. Right? So if at the get-go, we already have a leader na siya na yung nagko-call ng shots, and the approach is scientific, science-based, and it's actually based on best practices, siguro hindi tayo ganito kalungkot as a country. And then finally, dapat si Lady, kasi alam mo, ang maganda, Maria, every time we do a volunteer orientation, we always ask our volunteers, we do it weekly kasi, parang we ask them, okay, bakit kayo nag-join? Bakit si Lenny? Tapos parang she's the only leader who inspires confidence, who inspires something. And not just in the youth, because we are getting like volunteers as young as those who cannot vote yet, to people na nagmarcha sa EDSA. So ang ganda ng community namin because nagte-trade kami ng stories na ganyan. And para kasing parang you need to always look for a reason for us to believe and aspire that we can get out of this very, very bad timeline that we are in right now. And for someone to inspire that kind of confidence na parang, alam mo yun, malalagpasan natin lahat. That's a big thing. And so I cannot imagine anyone who can actually help us right now. Kasi if magpapatuloy pa to yung yung another 6 years, ang dami mga volunteers na nagsasabi na wala na, lilipat na kami na, baka pumunta na sila ng Germany, Maria, expect mo na lang sila dyan. Kasi tatakas.
Especially the frontliners.
Yeah, tatakas talaga. Yeah,
I've met so many who said that they resigned, they were frustrated because, nothing good is happening there. And they wanted to, of course, survive the pandemic because they want to help. Their families need them. They have to provide. They have children. So they're just frustrated. I've met so many of them. Actually, we're near Frankfurt, so every week talaga we meet a lot of nurses. They come from Frankfurt. Tapos dito sa area namin na malapit, they are housed here. So, before sila dinideploy, dito sila bumabagsak sa area namin. So, we meet them and we ask them what's happening. That's what we're doing. And, if I may say, Attorney Alvin, I have been following VP Lenny since the pandemic started. Kasi, syempre, I'm also worried that my family and friends are still living in the Philippines, you know. I'm worried what's going on there. Are they going to be helped by the government? Because this is something new that, the pandemic is new to the entire world. And I've seen her make so much. She started, she initiated to have transportation for frontliners, housing for frontliners. She initiated to get the local dressmakers to create PPEs for them. And with those initial work that she made, the non-government organizations worldwide, embassies and other businesses trusted her.
Yeah.
And now she just improved herself. She didn't just stay just like that she provided those things. She created a consulta. She initiated those buses for vaccination. Ang dami talaga. It's never ending. There's just so much more. No, people are volunteering. Even frontliners are volunteering for her. Doctors, everyone. May mga house calls na ngayon. They can talk to doctors on the phone. If they feel that they have the COVID, what to do. There's just so many people believing in her.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
yeah, but there's still the fear that she might not possibly run. So, what do you think will happen, Attorney Alvin?
Well, syempre, we want her to run. Parang
Of
ganyan.
course.
And she has not naman said that she will not run, di ba? So, kaya nga we are actually doing this volunteer din. Kasi of course, we understand probably that VP is also taking a look if may clamor ba for her to run. Because obviously, when you want to venture into politics, you need to have at least may practical, na mananalo ka or something. So, ayun, wala. Pupilitin namin siya. Hindi, joke. I think she will run. Hopefully she will. Oh. And to add to that, Maria, para kasing parang even if titingnan mo lang yung how she responded to the pandemic as the only metric for you to determine who the next president is, it's enough eh. Kasi if titingnan mo kung for example how it's being responded to right now, the president thinks of the pandemic as a problem of discipline, as a military problem. Kaya lahat ng mga heads niyan, mga military, kinukulong kung hindi na without realizing that there's actually a human dimension to it. Diba? For example, si VP Lenny lang yung pag magpabakuna ka, kasi syempre ang daming workers na hesitant to go there kasi mawala ng trabaho, binibigyan ng mga ayuda, ng mga ganyang bagay. And in this time, wherein we actually need to have not just like medical interventions, but more of empathy, si VP Lenny lang yung nakakakuha ng ganong klaseng approach. But back to your question, syempre if hindi tatakbo si VP Lenny, wala tayong magagawa. But we are very, very hopeful, hindi lang sa dapat si Lenny, kasi marami din kaming other networks like Team Lenny Robredo, Let Lenny Lead, and all these other networks. Ayun lang. We want her to run kasi ayun nga, ayaw pa nating tumakas talaga dito. We want to believe that we can still do something, and the Philippines cannot always remain this way, and we always have to hold on to that kind of hope.
Yeah. So we also want her to run so we can go back to the Philippines.
Yeah, I want her to run.
I really want to go back there and visit again. Oh my God. Before pandemic, we were there every year. So now, during Duterte, we don't want to go back anymore. No, just kidding. Anyway, final question.
Yes, the final question is, if you have a question for President Duterte, what would it be? Dane.
Dane.
Pardon.
It's like, what?
Pardon, ma'am.
If you have one question for President Duterte, that's our final question. What would it be?
Wait, I'm thinking of a question. Ano ba? I think, I'm not sure, but I want to ask him, are you satisfied with your, kumbaga, nasatisfied ka ba sa ginawa mo or sa pagiging president mo? Kumbaga, parang ganun po.
Okay.
Siguro ganun na lang.
How about you, Dea?
Yeah, actually similar nature to what Dane said. I just want to ask him, after 6 years of service, are you happy now that you're stepping down as the president? because
He's
with all
stepping down.
the yeah, I mean, the next administration will, take over after the election. So, after 6 years of service, I just want to ask him if he's happy after all the what happened during his entire term, because it's an entire roller coaster ride. A lot really happened, and I also want to know if what does he think was his best contribution for the 6 years, like on his perspective, of course. So yeah, those are my one or two questions.
How about you, Clyde? What would be your question to President Duterte?
Parang similar din. Parang, of all the 6 years, do you think, are you successful in the past 6 years as a president of the Philippines?
Mhm.
If
How
he's
about you,
successful or
Attorney
not?
Alvin?
Well, sa akin point blank, hindi ka ba nahihiya sa sarili mo? Ganun lang.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a valid question. Why not? What would you ask him?
Yeah, I would have asked him if it's still.
Are you healthy? Are you really healthy?
I would pronounce it in German. It's like, are you still?
Nine.
Like,
Nine. He wanted to express it in German, but no. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna ask him, are you really healthy? Because I've seen a lot of videos, contradictory to that. He almost fell in one of his speeches. I don't know where it was held, but he's always guided, by the arm. There should be. I think it's in the Constitution that the health of a leader should. Yeah, right. They should be
Yeah, it is.
transparent about it.
It actually is. Actually, Maria, that's a very good point. Kasi I think we already learned from the past with what happened to the previous dictator, Ferdinand Marcos, na parang he was keeping his illness away from the public. However, a president is accountable to the people, and he is also accountable to the Constitution. So, for example, if something happens to the president, obviously this will translate into probably if walang leader, it will probably descend into chaos and stuff like that. So, a president really, it's under the Philippine Constitution, should disclose. And sinabi naman na din kasi ni Duterte na marami na siyang sakit. So, hindi ko rin maintindihan. And on that note, actually, I have a good lawyer friend, si Attorney Dino De Leon. He actually wrote from Freedom of Information, inquiring into the health of the president. And I think it's a valid concern. Kasi, alam mo, si president naman, hindi naman siya mutant eh. Nagkakasakit din naman talaga siya. And it doesn't hurt for him to admit that he has illnesses, that he has ailments. At the end of the day, for example, if something happens to him, anong mangyayari sa Pilipinas? So dapat hindi lang siya selfish of thinking na dapat ako lang yung may kapangyarihan, but he should also think about what will happen in the off chance that something happens to him, considering all these health issues that he's having. So yeah.
If I may add to that, and he is also a lawyer, and he should understand. He should know the Constitution. It's stated there. I think first year law, pinag-aaralan na natin yan. So, him being a lawyer and a prosecutor for a decade or so, whatever. Anyway, so thank you very much.
Yes, thank you everyone for being with us today in Talk Ali. Thank you for answering these questions, for your insights. Yes, please tell us who are qualified to join your organization. How can they join your organization?
Let's start with Dane. How can they join your organization and who are qualified?
Dito po ma'am sa
Yes.
How can they join and
who are qualified to join in the Samahang Magdalo Youth?
Actually, ma'am, every youths are capable and have the opportunity to be part of this organization. Since our organization Samahang Magdalo is offering a scholarship grant or a programs and activities that youths are in. So they are no qualities. Kumbaga
Okay.
wala pong qualities na kailangan sundin, walang standards. If they want to be part of this Samahang Magdalo, they are in, or pwedeng silang sumali as long as they have the willingness, they have kumbaga meron silang gusto nilang mag-serve and tumulong din sa mga kapwa Magdalo and maging sa Filipino people din pa.
Oh, that's
Yun po.
wonderful. So they don't discriminate. Anyone can join them.
Yes.
So you can see on the screen, there's Samahang Magdalo Youth Movement on Facebook, and they have a website as well and an email. You can just contact them through that. So next, Dea, how about you?
Hi. So, okay, allow me to introduce or give a brief background of what Kiluska Youth is. So, basically, Kiluska Youth is the youth partner of the Office of Senator Francis Kiko and Pangilinan. So, we're basically inspired by the advocacies and principles of Senator Kiko. So, in our organization, we truly share a wide range of advocacies, and we highly encourage each other to, further the cause, continuously lobby our own personal advocacies, and in our organization as well, we give the members the opportunity to create their own, or have their own initiatives, formulate their own programs, host their own programs. We also partner with other organizations, with other youth organizations, and we have a specific department or team na nakafocus sa paglobby ng mga different advocacies. And of course, we're doing on-ground operations. We have a lot of local chapters across the country, so they're in charge of the on-ground operations. So recently, we posted a recruitment post, or a recruitment video was posted, so they can access it on our page, Kiluska Youth. So they will be redirected to a Telegram account, so or Telegram channel rather. So they will be redirected there, and our administration unit will be in charge of the recruitment process. And yun nga, just like what Dane said, also na we're not after the very, very long resume or credentials of our applicants. Ang kailangan namin is their initiative, is their desire to help their fellow youth, and to create a movement that can better the situation of the youth in the Philippines and the country in general. So don't hesitate to visit our page. That's Kiluska Youth. You can also email us, kiluskayouth.tk@gmail.com. So I'm really hopeful that a lot of youth leaders, and even high school, junior high school, senior high school, young professionals can join our organization. And we're so excited to work with the organizations, for example, of Dane, of Attorney Alvin. So yeah, we're really looking forward to working with everyone.
Elaborate. Okay, I'm glad you all connected here. So now, Clyde.
I think I'm not under
Hi, Clyde. Of course,
we're both Clyde.
yeah. We also want you to invite people to your shows, to your
Okay.
projects. Yes, sessions. Yes.
Okay. Since Dean and they invited people to their organizations, I think I would like to take this opportunity to invite viewers there to keep supporting your local artists in your area, and yeah, every kung mag-attend kayo sa mga gigs nila, it
Yeah.
means a lot to them.
Mhm.
Parang yan yung pinagkukuhanan nila ng loob, and I'm very thankful sa mga tao na nagsuporta sa akin and to all your artists friends. Just keep on supporting local artists, guys. And yeah, would like to plug my sessions na lang. If wala kayong ginagawa, mga 10 to 12 midnight, you can listen to me for free. Sessionslog.com/Fred Hortensio. Tas, if yung mga taga Iloilo any time of the week, may busking schedule ko sa malls. It may be on Festive Mall, Rob, SM, Delgado. Yes, yes. And also, keep supporting
Yeah.
your local artists.
Thank you, Clyde.
Thank you, Clyde.
Such a hardworking boy. Yeah, Clyde and his brother Sean, they're always basking in the city.
Oo, galing pa ako
Even
basking
during the
ngayon.
pandemic, they're trying to, prove that they can still do something. Okay, and finally, Attorney Alvin, please invite
Yes.
the people to join Dapat si Lenny movement.
Ayun, we are still accepting volunteers dapat si Lenny, and we would appreciate it if you guys will mag-sign up. I can share yung sign-up sheet natin. And also to give a brief background, what we normally do in dapat si Lenny is, of course, number one, it's a sense of community. Kasi napansin lang namin na ang daming mga taong gustong tumulong kay VP Lenny pero they don't know what to do or ano yung organization. So if you want that, we are more than willing to include you, to embrace you with open arms and dapat si Lenny because we need you guys. And number two, just to give you an idea of what we do here, of course, maraming mga youth din naman sa dapat si Lenny. Actually, ako yung pinakamatanda sa group na to. Pero we recognize nga kasi na parang we need to really wrestle the future of the country in our hands. Kasi tayo yung magmamana din naman ng country na to. And kasi 'di ba, parang ifahayaan lang natin, like I'm not saying that all old people are doing such a bad thing. Na for example, right now, ifahayaan natin sila lang yung gagawa. There's a tendency for them to just be protecting their own, to not look out for the interests of other people. And so it's very, very important and vital for us to realize na kailangan na talaga nating we have to really wrestle the fate of the country in our own hands. Hindi lang natin matutulog lang tayo na magiging maayos lang siya. Look at what happened. We just blinked for 1 second, pagkagising natin, yan na yung Pangulo natin. So this is really the opportunity for us, especially for this generation, because kami sa Dapat si Lenny, we believe kasi that every generation has really a challenge that they need to conquer. And for us, it's really this. For us to go back to the kind of leadership na mahusay at matibay and na hindi natin kailangang mag-settle palagi sa lesser evil. So yun. So we would love to have you on board sa Dapat si Lenny, and we really look forward to fighting the good fight with you guys. So kita-kits na lang.
Yes, I totally agree. Why settle for a lesser evil when you choose a better, good person? Diba?
Agree.
I want someone who's good, not evil.
And sorry, Malia, one last thing ha.
Okay.
We just want to amplify. Dito kasi sa Dapat si Lenny, parang we recognize that yung yung battle, especially when it comes to sa politics, nag-shift na rin siya. So kami, as much as possible, we infiltrate yung social media spaces because dyan kasi yung discourse natin. So we put sa Facebook, sa Twitter, sa TikTok, meron din kaming TikTok team. And yung ginagawa namin, considering that a lot of bad politicians right now resort to fake news, to historical, yung tinitweak yung historical narratives, yung mga diba, yung parang revisionism. So ang ginagawa namin, ini-expose namin kung ano yung mali, and then we provide kung ano talaga yung totoo para hindi na malinlang yung mga tao. And especially when it comes to yung mga false news about VP Lenny, we expose them for the lies that they are. Kasi parang ang dami kasing na-influence ng mga tao based on these fabricated truths. So that's one of the things that we try to battle in this era na na parang ang dami-dami ng lumalabas. So yun, be part of our team and we would be more than very, very happy and embrace you with open arms and everything.
Yay!
So Dapat si Lenny.
Yes, please do. Keep in touch with these organizations. Yes. With these organizations that they represented, Clyde can do TikTok videos for you as well. And that's true. I am glad you all met here in Talk Alley, and then now you can collaborate. Just an FYI, Attorney Clyde. Clyde here has a lot of followers, so you can actually keep in touch with him and help out Clyde. Okay, guys, thank you very much for being with us. Really, we really appreciate. And really, we are inspired with what you're all doing for our country. Thank you very much. Please continue to do so. Bye.
See you.
Bye-bye. Thank you po.
Keep safe everyone. Bye-bye.
Keep safe everyone.
Bye, guys.
Okay, that was really inspiring. Are you
Yes.
inspired?
Yes, I'm inspired, and I
Yes.
wish that the Philippines goes with the next administration into a better and brighter future. We have so many talented people, so many people who stand up for something good,
Mhm.
and they deserve someone who is leading the country into something
True.
better.
Yes, for me, I want also a leader who represent the good in people. I don't want someone who keeps on discriminating or swearing in front of the kids, or who are saying so many accusations about someone without facts. I want someone who is knowledgeable, who is good, who respects human rights,
Yes.
who respects women. I want someone who's like Lenny. So now also, here's a friendly reminder from Isambayan, Germany. They want our kababayans to, if you want to use your voice, please register to vote now. So for the overseas voting registration is until September 30th, 2021. So you still have a month. And for more information, please call or visit your nearest Philippine embassy or consulate general here in Germany or worldwide. If you're watching from another country, please inquire and register to vote now.
Yes.
Yes.
Please use your voice.
Yeah.
Please be heard.
Yes.
Every vote counts. Register
Yes.
to vote now.
Every vote counts. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us, listeners and viewers, for this show. It was really exciting to have the views and
Of the young Filipinos.
Yes, who will be probably leading also.
Yes,
the
exactly.
future. Yes.
Most likely with the next generation of Filipino leaders who will be leading the country.
Yes.
We hope. Yes. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you again
Yes.
next Sunday.
For next Sunday or yes?
Yes, next Saturday instead of Sunday. We'll be going live next Saturday in Vienna, Austria. We will be interviewing an artist and also going live during the fashion show of and Feed Austria.
Yes.
Yes.
Hope you're all excited. We will see you there next week, Saturday. Thank you for listening. This is Mike.
And this is Maria.
And this is Talk
And this
Alley.
is Talk Alley.
Bye. Stay
Bye.
safe.
And keep spreading the love.
Yes.